Hey you guys! Thanks for joining us on another journey. Today we're in South Dakota, just outside of Hill City, drinking beer.
At Miner Brewing Company, right next to Prairie Berry Winery. Isn't that so much fun to say?
You just want to say Prairie Berry.
Yes, I want to go to Prairie Berry.
If you're new to the channel, this is April.
Hi.
And I'm Wayne. We do a video every Thursday, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the journey.
This is the original system. We have a 7-barrel brew house with 15-barrel fermenters. The only thing you don't see is our 1-barrel test batch system, so that's what we use to kind of hone in year-round recipes and whatnot. People ask how long our beers take to make. Anywhere from 2 weeks. We have beers that have aged for over 5 years. We do have some sour beers that we're careful with as far as not wanting to infect any of our normal beers with bacteria or anything like that. And then we do make cider and seltzer as well, and some of those are made next door at our parent company, Prairie Berry Winery. Every state has weird alcohol laws to a degree, and they're always in flux. Going back a ways, our founders, Matt and Sandi, they were influential in pushing through legislation in 1998 to allow the commercial production of wine and wine sales in South Dakota. And that's what instigated Prairie Berry Winery. The winery has been an official business for over 20 years now because of that change. They opened the brewery in 2013. We've been involved in some beer legislation. One of the main legislative changes in beer in the last few years has had to deal with distribution. Prior to COVID, we did a good amount of distributing kegs throughout the states. You'd see us on tap in bars and restaurants all over the place. Some restrictive laws on how you could do that and how much you could do that and whether you need a distributor or not. And then one of the other things is there's beer festivals all over the country. Sure. And the laws at the time made it really complicated as to how you could get beer to festivals and back and who's pouring and whatnot. Yeah. So things that make us different. Obviously there's a ton of breweries out there nowadays. One of the distinguishing factors for us, like I said, Matt and Sandi are founders. Sandi is a 5th generation winemaker. Her family came to South Dakota from Czechoslovakia in the late 1800s. Traditionally in Czech heritage, the females in the family are the wine and beer makers. Her great-great-grandma came to the plains of South Dakota and converted Czechoslovakian recipes into recipes that she could make using local ingredients that are completely different than anything that they had, in Europe. Throughout her family's history, they've passed down that lineage and that tradition. And so she's the 5th generation winemaker in her family, and now also a brewmaster. Part of that is with the winery next door, we have the ability to barrel age stuff. The lambic that barrel aged in Cabernet oak barrels for a year. Well, most breweries don't have access to things like that, but being a large, commercial winery, we can do a lot of fun stuff that other places might not. One of our upcoming beers is a hybrid. It's a German-style Pilsner, but it's conditioned with Catawba grapes, so it's like this weird wine-beer hybrid. She has that knowledge of being a winemaker for her entire life. The name of it's gonna be Wenzel Rose or Rosé Pilsner. Wenzel is a German rose, and in Germany they make these weird plant hybrids, so that's what Wenzel is a hybrid rose from Germany. So that's what this is. It's like we're passionate about history and tradition, and she has a lot of it in her family, but she's very much so not afraid to push the boundaries of styles or make something that doesn't fall into any category. Right. Our top selling wine up there is made out of rhubarb and raspberry, but we make a whole line of wines that are European style grape wines. So we've got everything from traditional dries to crazy fruity sweets and tarts. And
do you guys ship these as well all over? Or?
The wines are shipped to any state that will let us legally ship them there. Okay,
we'll put a link below for you then.
Awesome.
Are you shipping beer too or not yet?
We cannot legally ship beer at this time. So selling out of the tap room, we do 32-ounce crowlers and growlers to go.
You just got to hit it when you're here in town.
That's right. Yeah. So see it through the smoky haze. It's usually a little clearer view from here. here.
Yeah,
but,
this is the smokiest we've seen Bike Week.
Yeah, the highest peak up there has got a little square knob on it, and that's the Fire Lookout Tower on Black Elk Peak. So it's a little over 7,200 feet. Yeah, we have 6 peaks that are over 7,000 feet, and that's the tallest one.
Definitely amazing riding, that's for sure.
Like, this is the original tap room. So you used to look onto a big empty hillside. And so it's changed over the years. This small space used to be a biker bar, like in the 80s, called G-Bob's. Turned into like a wool and antiques shop. When he transitioned from a biker bar to an antique store. We tore the building down to the original foundation and rebuilt the brewery in the same footprint. And then this is the concert lawn. So this is our largest venue space, built to hold about 1,000 people. So stage gets set up. We do host some events throughout the year. We have the Black Hills Yoga Festival a week from tomorrow. It's our first time having it here. The Yoga Festival's been going on for a few years now, and they've wanted to move it into the hills. So we're excited to have it here. Miner Brewing Company name comes from the mining history of the Black Hills. This premises that we're on, what we call our campus, used to be a tin mine. So mining happened right here in this area. None of the mining really took off in the Hill City area. It's kind of a funny short history, but it got people to the area. So they use the lure of mining prospects to get people into town, into business, you know, into the saloon or into the inns in the area.
Right.
When there really maybe wasn't that much for them to access. So it didn't last long. I had mentioned the 1880 train. Currently it goes from Hill City to Keystone. Back then there was a couple other routes, and that did
Well,
haul.
that makes sense now. We were trying to figure out why they seem to have 2 different names.
Keystone online, but then we saw it.
Right, there's a station in both spots.
Okay.
Part of that rail is still original. I mean, they upkeep it, but they use that to haul tin and gold and silver from the area. Yeah. Well, we can go in and grab some beers.
Yeah.
I would be tempted to want to drink on the job.
We have new beers coming out pretty regularly. So the only drinking on the job we do is our tasting panel. So anytime we have a new beer coming out.
Okay.
It's an official thing. One of those things, it's like the hard part when you have to drink beer at work. We sit down as a group with the Brewmaster, Sandi, and talk through styles and all the stats about it and kind of how we want to present the beer to the public.
Definitely want to try it all
on the lighter end and then work our way up. Of that tray there, this is Miner Light. It's an American light lager. We usually release it a few weeks before Rally every year.
Right, for your Budweiser drinkers.
Yep.
I got a Bud Light. Here, try this. Is better.
Perfect time of year for a light beer. It's not something we keep on year round, but it's one of our seasonal releases.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is definitely
good summer beer.
Good fishing beer.
Lawnmower beer.
Yeah, lawnmower beer.
Yep, that real gold colored one. That is our Kolsch. It's a traditional German Kolsch. Kolsch is ale that is then cold conditioned like a lager. So you get maybe a little bit more flavor out of it than you would out of a lager, but a really smooth finish. Has a mild bitterness, kind of like a German or Czech Pilsner would.
It's got a little bit of an aftertaste, not too much.
Yeah, just a hint.
That's actually really
light,
light as well.
Natural progression from the light, so we kind of...
Yeah.
That's more my beer of a light beer.
Yeah, right.
The other one's too watery for me.
Yeah. The Groot style kind of predates modern beer. So Groot traditionally are brewed with no hops. It was before hops were used in beer.
I don't think I've ever heard of it.
And so they would use herbs to add flavor and aroma. So this is wheat-based, but it is conditioned on red sandalwood, echinacea, yarrow. So all those things add a little flavor and aroma.
I like it.
I do too, actually. It's
when you hear it, it sounds crazy. And you taste it and you're just like, oh, it's pretty light and refreshing. You catch hints of those things, but it's not overwhelming.
This is a true tasty light beer.
Oh yeah.
It's so different though. It doesn't
How do you
have that.
spell it?
G-R-U-I-T.
If you gave this to me and didn't tell me what it was,
Right.
I wouldn't believe it was a beer to begin with.
If someone's skeptical of anything in their beer besides the standard, hops, barley water, we might give them a taste of it, and then they're like, oh, that's good, and then we'll tell them what's in there, just so we're not scaring them off. This is our copper lager.
That's such a pretty color.
With the mining theme to the name and whatnot, and we've got a gold, we've got the copper, we've got our first NA beer coming out soon that's called Fool's Gold, so we play with the mining terms a little bit. So copper lagers, an obvious style for us to brew. It's one of my personal favorites. It's kind of right in the middle. So if you like a light beer, it's still very easy drinking, but if you like a dark beer, it's still very malt forward. It's got some caramel notes to it, roasty, toasty aspects.
Good.
Almost like a red lager?
Close. We don't have it right now. Like I said, sometimes we run out of our standby staples before the next batch. One of our main beers is called Scarlet. It's an Irish red style, off the wall, adventurous stuff.
Yes.
It's a mild step. So we're gonna go the watermelon wheat. It's on the top right of that one there.
This one?
You got it. This is American style wheat. American style wheats are going to be a little lighter than a European style. The yeast is not so flavor forward, so you're going to get the flavor, in this case,
smell the watermelon.
Now how do you get the watermelon in there?
This one, I don't know. It's a trade secret.
Oh, okay.
Most of the beers I know about, but there's a few where Sandi, our brewmaster, is just like, I'm not telling.
Yeah.
And I'm allergic to watermelon, so I smell it and I'm like, that smells so good, and I've never tasted
you
this
can't
beer.
have it. I like this. I don't care for watermelon. I think it's more the texture of the fruit, but this is good. Like, it's subtle.
Unless it's an IPA with like a citrus flavor, I'm good with that.
Yeah. Sandi, being a winemaker and making a lot of fruit wines, she has learned over the years how to take the aspects of fruit and make it not overwhelming. For instance, with the wines, she uses blueberry or red currant in some wines.
What kind of alcohol content is this? It seems very
The
light.
watermelon,
Yeah.
I think it's like 4.7.
Okay.
Yep. So we have the cider in the middle on the bottom row there. We make several different ciders throughout the year. This is our kiwi strawberry cider. We use South Dakota apples. In this case, it's 2 red apples and a green apple. So you get the sweetness of the red and the tartness of the green that kind of balances it.
She's gonna like this.
Oh yeah.
That's like totally up her alley.
Flavoring.
I could go with if it was just the kiwi, but because it's got the strawberry in it, it gives it a little bit too much tart.
No, I love it. I'll just keep this one for myself.
So we'll go to the other non-beer. Our seltzer is a pineapple seltzer at the moment. It's in the top middle, and this has real pineapple. So hence, most seltzers you see in a can are going to be clear. This is that gold pineapple color because it's made with pineapple.
It's a seltzer then?
Yes.
That was definitely not something I liked. What'd you think about the pineapple?
It's pretty good. I like this better.
Typically speaking, people are like a big seltzer fan or they don't drink seltzers at all.
Seltzers do seem to be, at least the ones in the can made by the big labels, seem to be more popular these days with the younger kids or something.
Depending on the seltzer, ours is not made with gluten, so we can offer it to people that are watching their gluten.
Okay.
We don't certify any of our products gluten-free just because they're served in a facility with beer. Let's move into the Star Nation. So this is a lambic that conditioned with strawberry, blackberry, and raspberry, milk sugar, which will add creaminess and sweetness, and then conditioned in cab oak barrels for a year. Ooh. So there's a whole lot of different flavors going on.
That's good. Oh yeah.
When was the last time you heard of that?
If people ask, like, what can I get here that I can't get anywhere else?
Ooh, that's
something
actually
like this would be on top of the list.
I wouldn't think beer though.
It's got all sorts of stuff.
It's got all kinds of flavors going on.
There's so many levels of it, yeah.
If you come here, you gotta try this one. What was that one again?
That is called the Star Nation Peace Treaty Lambic. So let's go with the East River. That is our, on most days, that's our top seller. New England style IPA.
Oh, it's an IPA.
So hazy, juicy, you get some citrus notes. No fruit in this beer, but definitely some fruitier notes to it.
This is a very smooth, sweet IPA.
We call it a gateway IPA. So it kind of introduces you to the hop varietal flavors with the citrus notes and stuff, but it's not
punch in the face of an IPA, but you definitely got a light undertone of IPA flavor to it. But the citrus.
This is similar to the one that we had in Maine.
When we were doing the beer tour in Maine.
So
Hard
the
above.
East River name is kind of multifaceted. South Dakota is split by the Missouri River. You live East River or you live West River, and there's a little bit of a rivalry there.
Right.
And so this name kind of references that. We have locations on both sides. It also references East River, East Coast, New England, the New England style. So
Gotcha.
So I typically don't like an IPA that's a lower alcohol percentage.
Sure.
And this doesn't smell like it's a high alcohol percentage.
it's in the 6s. I want to say it's 6.2.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's surprising because most of the time I don't like the lower IPAs. I
pretty
like a
smooth.
9, 10.
We'll try the other IPA that we have on tap right now, which is called Hot Lips Juicy IPA. This one is conditioned on pink guava, so you'll get a little bit more of a tropical note to it.
Now that doesn't taste like an IPA at all.
People that are
Yeah.
like, I don't like IPAs, I'm trying to make our flight, what should I add? I ask them, like, do you like fruity stuff? Do you like guava?
It's
Try it.
smooth. It doesn't have the hops that you think. Like you'd pour it for me and didn't tell me it was an IPA. I would never
Could
guess
sneak
it
one
was.
by ya.
Yeah.
What's IBUs?
IBU is International Bitterness Unit. So it's a scale of 0 to 100. Closer to 100 you get, the more bitter it is based on the quantity of hops in there. Variation there is like with our Imperial Red, we have that roasted red malt, and that is a sweeter, more flavor-forward malt, and it kind of masks some of the bitterness. So you might have a lighter IPA in color that's only 50 IBUs, and it could taste more hoppy than something that's 70 IBUs but darker.
Okay. Where do you get most of your hops and barley from?
All over the place.
All over.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not really grown.
There's
out
a
here,
few
right?
growers in South Dakota, but we have a really short growing season.
Yeah,
So we source as many local ingredients as we can. We get some things like our choke cherries.
With what a choke cherry
A choke cherry is a really small berry. It's very earthy. South Dakota, Montana, you'll see choke cherry jam, choke cherry pie. They're adding a ton of sugar to cut that bitterness.
To cut the bitterness.
The way we use choke cherry is more like a hop. It's naturally earthy and bitter. So we actually ferment with the choke cherry, and that adds a little bit of bitterness in that early part of the brewing process. So it tastes like a very traditional English style brown ale.
That's where a lot of the wine influence comes into this, is actually using.
And they make choke cherry wine up there as well.
Okay.
This is our Campfire Cocoa Milk Stout. It's a local favorite. It's not a year-round beer for us, so anytime it gets released, people get really excited. It just came on tap about a week ago. Every once in a while, we'll get crazy and take out a culinary torch and torch French vanilla marshmallows and serve a marshmallow on top. So.
Yum.
I can see why you call it cocoa. Definitely not like a Guinness or anything like that.
We have our Blarney Irish Stout that we release every year for St. Patrick's Day. That's very traditional and dry Irish Stout. This is our last one. It might not be up your alley, but I hope you like it.
Yes.
Blackberry marshmallow tart. So
you can smell the berry.
Tons of blackberry puree, actual marshmallows.
No, definitely not up my alley. That is acquired.
It's tart, kind of creamy.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
I'm not a big marshmallow fan, but I see how it's working in this.
Yeah. Blackberries are tart, obviously, and it's a lambic by style, so tart with a sour style, and so the marshmallows.
Wash that down with some IPA.
I'm gonna keep this one for myself too. That is really good.
There's a little sample of what we have. Like I said, we normally have 14 to 17 beers on tap.
Well, we appreciate you giving us a tour
thanks.
and checking out all the different beers that you had on tap. If you guys are anywhere near the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally and want to try some tasty beers, come out to Miner Brewing Company. 3 miles outside of Hill City. Perfect place to stop in and have a flight or two.
Miner Brewing Company, our parent company, Prairie Berry Winery, is next door. We call the whole space our campus because you can get beer and walk up to the winery, you get wine, bring it down here, and we have a kitchen so you can kind of meander around.
So it's not just grilled food, you have an actual kitchen as well?
Yes, there's a kitchen with artisan cheese plates, soups, salads, homemade desserts.
Let's just stay here all day.
Right? It's early in the morning, so that's why it's so quiet in here. We decided to come check the brewery out early. Probably in a couple hours, it's going to be packed.
Sneak in before the crowds.
Yeah, exactly. We want to thank you guys for watching our video all the way to the end. If you would, hit that subscribe button, share it with a friend, and like always, thank you for living life.